Greetings and welcome to the SPU Honors Program Senior Graduation Celebration. Welcome, university scholars and families and friends. I'm so happy to see you, even if I'm only seeing you online and virtually right now. This is a cherished tradition for the SPU Honors Program to gather together, even in this unusual digital format, to say how much we celebrate the gifts, the hard work, the perseverance, and the incredible, wonderful giftedness of the graduating class of honors students at Seattle Pacific University. It is my sincere pleasure to be your host. At the same time, it's even a bigger pleasure that I am the director of this incredible program. I'm Dr. Christine Cheney, for those of you who don't know me. I've been a faculty member at SPU in the honors program for over 20 years and have been the director for 3. It is the privilege of my life to be in this role, something I feel God has prepared me for a long time. And the sort of special experience of this particular ceremony, and I'm going to say quite honestly, this particular class. The class of 2020 is going to go down in history, not just because of the historic circumstances that we're living under and all the ways that change and pain and suffering are playing out in our world. God is redeeming it and asking us to enter into these transformative, painful times with clear eyes and strong hearts and minds that have been gifted with the kind of education that I know that each one of these honors graduates has had in their time at SPU. This class was already amazing, remarkable, legendary for all that they have been through. I'm sure many of you have heard about this. Certainly the students themselves could tell you. They seem to have been marked out for special giftedness, let's just say, in learning to persevere, to overcome challenges. It almost got laughable, some of the ways that normal things kept getting disrupted for this particular amazing class of honor students. And somehow a global pandemic and important unrest around injustice, transformative sense of God's calling on our lives as believers and people of faith, and also people of the gifts of the mind, the gifts of vocational calling around critical thinking and leadership. So of course, you're the class 2020, the legend. So here we are gathering together, and once again, I wish we could be hugging and sharing food and having a great celebration on campus, but we're going to, if it's okay with you, step into the joy of the fact that we could even gather this way, and to know that our hearts are connected. And I hope all of you are celebrating in your own small groups of family and friends, maybe marking ceremonies, maybe lighting candles, or stepping forward, talking to each other about how much you mean to each other, but also, I hope, how much this education has gifted you with the foundation to enter into all the rest of your life. That would be my prayer and my hope. So on behalf of the university, I'm officially welcoming you all, and mostly just want to say, let's remember, SPU's honors program has existed for 50 years. You are also the golden anniversary class. And when in the 70s, early 70s, Dr. Wesley Lindgren first gathered a group of faculty to say, what do Christian college students need that they're not getting in the 70s in a very limited curricular kind of setting? And how do we equip scholars for the future, people of faith, people of ethical commitment, people of justice, people of truth, in ways that meet them at the level of their academic giftedness and their interest in working hard and entering into, in many cases, the professions, And so that particular honors ship sailed in the early 70s. And it's been my privilege as I've come into this role 20 years ago as a member of the faculty. When I first joined, I actually co-taught with one of the original faculty members who designed the curriculum, and heard from him and see myself as a kind of bridge figure into continuing what it means to be an honors student at SPU, a particularly academically gifted student at a small Christian liberal arts college for the 21st century and the times and the history that we live in now. And so, as the students know, and maybe you've heard, we've undergone a long process over the past 3, 4, or 5 years to reimagine the curriculum, to reimagine what it means to equip students for the future. This is the class that lived through a lot of the discernment around that, a lot of the discussions about what was needed, what was working, what needed to be updated. And so while you're not the classes that will have the new curriculum, I want you students especially to own that you helped make it. You are builders, and to please embrace the fact that you are a generation that's transforming not just this university, but our whole world. And I'm so proud and grateful to have been able to come alongside you in your journey over these past 4 years. So we hope we put together a sweet little ceremony for you, very similar to what we would have done in person online. I ask you just to hold us all together in your thoughts and prayers as we go forward. I hope you have the program in front of you. I sent out that PDF to everybody. So as you can see, we have a little agenda. Here I am welcoming you. The special faculty speaker, Dr. Rod Styling in the history department, the unanimous choice of the graduating class, will then give you some words of sending. I'll present after that each of our individual graduates and say some words about who they are and their accomplishments and all that's wonderful about them. We will then present 2 major awards in the honors program, one for the Rising Senior Scholar Servant, the Kiminow Award, and then finally the Lindgren Award for the most outstanding University Scholar Honor Student of the Year. We'll finish with a commissioning prayer, and we will go out into the world blessed, I hope, and able to keep celebrating in the university commencement experience. So meanwhile, blessings, friends. I'm wearing my doctoral regalia for you, and hope that you know how much you are loved and cared for and how proud we are of all you've accomplished.
Well, I wish that we could be here together, but unfortunately that's not possible during these days. But I would love to congratulate you in person for completing the University Scholars Program, for pursuing your honors project, for bringing to this campus the pursuit of learning at very high levels. You've been pursuing this question, what does it mean to be human? We're grateful that you have explored this question across the discipline, looking at it from a variety of angles. We are a better place, a better community, because you have been among us. You have brought deep intellectual values and pursuits to this place. You have participated in activities and programs beyond university scholars, and you have added to the richness and depth that establishes SPU in all that we can offer. I'm grateful for your faculty, for the way that they have invested in your life and in your future. I hope you will take some time to offer a word of thanks and gratefulness for all that they have done for you. Well, as you've pursued this question, what it means to be human, as you begin to understand this life that will unfold before you, I hope you have also discovered in some way what it means to live a life beyond success. I have no doubt that you're going to be extremely successful in all that you pursue. But I do hope that you have thought about life beyond success to to understand and determine for yourself what it means to live a life of significance. Saint Bernard of Clairvaux has a wonderful philosophy and expressed this in this way. He said, there are some who seek knowledge for the sake of knowledge, and that's curiosity. There are some who seek knowledge for the sake of themselves being known, and that's vanity. But yet there are others who seek knowledge for the sake of others, and that's charity, that's love. Discovering what that is for your life means discovering what it means to live life for a greater purpose, a life of significance in some way. I saw a t-shirt this week that had two words at the top, human-kind, humankind. And then right below it, it said, be both. That's what we're talking about. Pursuing what it means to be fully human and expressing that in all the ways that you have encountered during your time here at SPU, that you have peeled back and tried to understand what does it mean to be fully human and how can I live that out in this world? What I hope you have discovered is that as you have pursued your studies and that as you live your life beyond this place, that you've been challenged to ask the question, is this the way that God intended it to be? Whatever you see in this world along your life's journey, asking yourself the question, is this the way that God intended it to be? And then if not, discovering, thinking, imagining how life could or should be, and then work toward that end. Living a life of significance, a life of greater purpose. I strongly believe that you will be successful in life, and we look forward to seeing how your life's path will unfold and what you will accomplish. But perhaps more importantly than that, I also look forward to seeing what levels of significance and impact and difference you will make in this world for the benefit of others. We look forward to that time. We look forward to being back together when we are able to. But until then, as you leave from this place, know that you go with our love, our prayers. God bless you and God be with you. Amen.
Greetings, scholars. Well, here we are, assembled in some fashion, assembled virtually on a day which is not exactly your graduation day and not exactly ivy cutting. We are not in Weider Hall. We are wherever we are. Instead of being in Weider Hall, where we would be surrounded by posters and balloons and food, great big puffy HONORS balloons, which sometimes should be rearranged by the wind to spell words like Nasra or shroom. Instead of being in Weider Hall, all gathered together looking at posters and munching on snacks. Here we are, virtually separated, socially distant. I mean, I'm standing out here in front of Alexander Hall back here and trying to keep my distance from you guys and keep you safe from me and me safe from you. Wow, what a terrible thing how we have nurtured one another for so long and now we're ordered by the health department to stay apart from each other. It's crazy. But I do want to spend a few minutes. I'm very, very honored and thankful that I was asked to convey some words of sending. And indeed, it is that time. It is that beautiful and difficult time of sending where we see you off. Everybody knows that you don't come to college for the purpose of staying there. And yet when we do find ourselves here and we form friendships and relationships and we get into the rhythm and we learn the tools and we find a life, it does seem like a very hard thing to leave. It is a hard thing to leave. I couldn't leave. All of your other professors couldn't leave. We didn't leave. We stayed around for the love of it. But we know that there is a time for sending, and we have come to that time with the university scholars and the honors program this year. I'm so thankful that we've had the time that we have. I've been thinking a lot about time. Being confined at home is pretty interesting, as you all now know. We are not outside in the loop. Well, I am, but the rest of you aren't. We're not outside in the loop. We're not inside of Tiffany or inside of Weeder Hall. We're at our homes in front of our computers. And we've had a lot of time to think about time. And I personally have had a lot of time to think about time. In fact, last week, I had an occasion to think very seriously about time. If you sort of pretend that our decades of our life are like, if the decades are sort of like innings in a baseball game, well, I just had a birthday that reminded me that I'm getting into the later innings of the game. And also, in thinking about time, I was reflecting on the 90th Psalm, which is pretty powerful in many of its phrases, but one in particular really stands out where it says, teach us, it says, as to the days of our life, teach us to number our days, that we may present to thee a heart of wisdom. To number our days, not so much to count them out, but to value them, to measure them, to be aware of them, not to waste them. Sort of the Gandalf advice of being careful and wise with the time that we have been given. So that's how I've been thinking about time, and I've been thinking about the time that we have spent together. I think about the time that I had in class with you students and with my colleagues. I think about all of us here on the honors faculty, and what a wonderful treat it is. What a deep blessing it is to be participating with you in learning. So as we send you away, which sounds hard, it is hard. I don't like thinking about it. But as we send you along, Abby and Kira and Aaron and Savannah and Hannah D and Ellie and Anika and Matthew, as we send you along, Holly and Hannah L and Michaela and Meg. When I say the names, the faces come up, even though I don't see you, even though I'm just talking to myself right now. I see your face. Alexa and Anna and Sam and Brianna and Rachel. Don't play trivia games against Rachel, anybody. I'm telling you, just don't do that. And Valerie. All of those names, those beautiful names, and the wonderful people to whom they belong have given us so much, and we are so thankful. And so I do have a few words of sending that I would love to share, and they come from Paul's letter to the Ephesians, and I'll just read briefly, and then I just have a few remarks, and I hope you'll bear with me and understand that even though I haven't interviewed all of our faculty, I know that they are feeling some version of what I'm feeling right now inside as we launch you, as we watch you sail away in now fully equipped, eager ships to address the needs and to bless the world. And here's this text. It's a short one. It's a famous one, or I should say it should be famous, and it's attached to two other famous ones. But I'm just going to read this. This is the second chapter of Ephesians and verse 10. And it goes something like this. Well, it goes exactly like this. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God has prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. So there's two things going on here that I'd like to invite our attention to, and it's really pertinent to not only our current situation, sort of world situation, but it's just always applicable. And the first point is that we are his workmanship. That Greek word there, if I can sneak over into Ewaldian territory a little bit, is the noun poema, which has to do with working or doing. And we do derive some equivalent words. Certainly our word poem is related to this Greek word, but its Latin equivalent would be opus, like a work, a grand project, a dignified undertaking. In French, the oeuvre of God. We are the oeuvre of God. We are his project. We each and every one of us are his workmanship. And it says created. We are creations. We are creatures. And as creatures, we are created to keep on creating. We aren't finished yet. The project isn't over. It's our responsibility to keep growing, if you will, to keep growing the image that is in us, to keep growing our souls. These things we talk about on the very first day of class, of this grand commitment to lifelong growth, to be that tree, to be that bristlecone pine that never stops growing, and to celebrate the expansion of our ignorance, because that signals that we are in fact growing. And that's a beautiful thing, that we are a project of God. We are the object of God's labor and creativity and love. And therefore we have this responsibility to nurture the image within us, and for us to sort of participate in God's opus, who we are, and not to waste it or profane it, but to continue to develop as creatures. And then the second part is says that we were created not for our own pleasure or for to be self-serving, but for the purpose of good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. Good works, good tasks, serving, doing justice, loving mercy. These are the works that God has prepared beforehand. And for you Aristotelians out there, the expression that we should walk in them is in fact that peripatetic word that means to walk among the good works. Now, it doesn't say what they are. It doesn't spell out what we should do. But each of us will have our own slate of things that lie before us. Some things lie before us immediately, today, that may have nothing to do with a skill set that we're developing. Other things may have to do with our sort of grand calling into maybe medicine or into law or public service. Yes, those are good works as well. But there's a couple of good works that are sort of easy to remember, and I want us to think about them very much. And that is this generic category called love. And of course, the greatest, the overarching commandment is to love the Lord our God And the second is like unto it, to love our neighbor as ourselves. And so I would invite your attention to a couple of lesser known references. And one is in the book of James, where James encourages us to be what I would call regal legals, to be a regal legal. Because in James chapter 2, James says that we should observe the royal law, which is the love of neighbor. So when we love our neighbors, we're obeying and following the royal law. And Paul in the 13th chapter of Romans refers to the love of neighbor as a debt. And it's the one debt that we cannot and would not want to pay off in full. He says, owe nothing to anyone except love. We would never want to be sort of finished loving others. Loving our families, yes. Loving our neighbors, yes. Loving our enemies, harder, but yes. So perhaps debt is an uncomfortable thought, especially for people graduating from college, because now the clock is ticking and school debt has to be paid. But here's one debt, the one true debt, let us say, that we should seek and actually cultivate and keep paying, not grudgingly, but to give love cheerfully. Again, God loves a cheerful giver, Paul points out in the second book of Corinthians. So as we send you, I think it's the same message that maybe you've heard so many times. Keep growing and keep going. And as you go, walk regally and serve the royal law and spend profitably, and increase and cultivate and nurture the one true debt, the debt to love. And so acknowledging the participation with our colleagues in all the different fields, all the classes you've had over the 4 years together, all your advisors and all of the things that have come together to provide this wonderful experience for you. Know that your experience together as a group has given us wonderful gifts as well. And so, yes, we do send you with our love. It's sad, it's bittersweet, but you have our love. We send you with our love. And yes, we do send you with our blessing. We want the Lord to bless you and keep you and make his face shine upon you. We want your lives to be rich and meaningful and impactful and loaded with service and significance. So yes, we send you with blessing, but we especially send you with our thanks. There's just no doubt about it. One of the great secrets, the secret joy of being involved in higher education as a teacher, is what we learn from our students, what we gain from our students, the lessons they teach us, the joy they bring us, the challenges they confront us with, and just the glorious blessing of being together. What a great gift you have given us. So we do send you also with our thanks. And so, dear graduating class of 2020, the class of great vision, we thank you, we honor you, we love you, we bless you, and we wish you all the best as you go. And as you go, as you are sent, please know that you go with our love, our blessings, and our deepest thanks. And so, it's great to see you, and I hope to see you in person very soon. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Styling, for that amazing word. So beloved and so popular in the U Scholars Program. Thank you for those words of wisdom and of sending. And now it's my pleasure to present the honors graduates of 2020. First off, I need to tell you a few things about this legendary cohort. These are facts, fun facts about themselves that they actually gathered, some statistics that I think something that all of the beloved family and friends would love to hear. First off, there are 18 members of the cohort. None are first generation. 12 studied abroad. 14 involved in clubs. 5 in the arts. 8 played intramurals. Nearly all, 17 of them worked or did internships. 4 were student leaders in the residence halls or in ministry. 5 have published or are on track to publish work, but also 5 have switched majors. Most of all, many of them are planning to go to graduate school or work, or I love this, a whole chunk don't have any idea quite yet. And especially in the circumstances we're living in with the pandemic, I think that's completely understandable. But what I'd like to add, and they maybe don't know, is that a very large proportion of this class was nominated for the President's Citation, which is the highest award that SPU gives. The President will announce the winner at the commencement ceremony that will be streamed tomorrow. And I just want you all to know how proud I am that certainly on a regular basis, the university scholars are nominees for this award, but your class in particular, percentage-wise, being one of the smaller classes, had an enormous number of you who qualified at the highest levels for the highest award in the whole university. So no matter what happens with who wins that award or who wins the Lindgren Award for the top university scholar, I want you all to know that you are completely remarkable and that we all know that, the university knows that, and I hope you know that too. Your gifts are needed in the world and needed for the kingdom. And so I'm grateful to all of you for all that you've achieved and how well you've taken advantage of your time and opportunity in the University Scholars Program here at SPU. I love the fun facts too that we have around favorite all-nighters, favorite classes. There's something about Dr. Styling's perfect circles that I'm going to have to learn about, and Dr. Ewald's Kermit memes. There's always fun kind of inside stories about the classes in U Scholars. But one thing I want to especially call out before we talk about the graduates themselves is that this class might love pizza and play more than anyone ever has in 50 years, which is our quarterly night to play Trivial Pursuit, to go to the student play, to share community. And, you know, you scholars are always pretty ferocious about that, but I think the class of 2020, you guys might be the all-time pizza and play winners. So, with no further ado and putting my reading glasses back on, let's talk together about this amazing class. And I have a wonderful PowerPoint for us to look at here. We're just making digital work, but there is nothing more legendary than the incredible honors class of 2020. Please join with me in celebrating each one of these amazing students and all they've accomplished in their time here at SPU. Alphabetically then, and you can follow in your program if you want, we begin with the amazing Abby Ayulo, her honors project entitled My Blue Scarf, The Story of Ruth, A New Play. Her first reader was Professor Candace Vance, and her second reader, Professor Jeffrey Overstreet. And I will tell you that Abby also won a writing prize when she did study abroad at Oxford University. Abby combines the very difficult and unusual gifts of both creativity as a writer and an actress and intellect, scholarship, the kind of diligent left brain and right brain that it's rare to see. She's also a woman of forceful strength and leadership. She's inspiring. And what I'll say right here is it's very difficult to accomplish a creative honors project. They're important to do, but they can be tricky in just the ways I mentioned. Her work, though, was exceptional. As her faculty readers tell me, quote, her consistent work, her diligence, especially in applying all of the apparently lot of feedback she got as she was writing, achieves the highest standards of success. She, as you can follow in the program, will be interning with the Northwest Playwrights Alliance, and I very much hope that will continue even despite the virus. She's a theater creature through and through. She intends to get her MFA. Meanwhile, is writing plays all the time. And I'm always inspired by the combination of gifts that Abby Ayulo brings to the world and has brought to us at SPU. Next, we have Kira Bauer, whose honors project, these are the ones I love to read, is Raccoon Roundworm, or Beascaris procainosis, so wrong, sorry, infection prevalence in geographically distinct raccoon, I'm not even going to try that, just raccoon, populations of the Pacific Northwest. And her first reader is Dr. Cindy Bishop, and second reader is Dr. Eric Long. And Kira's another one of the amazing STEM students that we have in honors who particularly is interested in veterinary medicine with the idea of going into wildlife medicine and conservation. The influence of both Dr. Bishop and Dr. Long there I see is profound. She comes to us from Colorado, and what I love is the way that the mountains and the natural beauty of her home state clearly, and the Pacific Northwest as well, are deeply part of her vocational calling and her plans for her future intellectual gifts. Look forward very much to knowing that Kara's out in the world working for wildlife conservation and using her gifts and her love of the natural world for those kind of kingdom creation preservation purposes. So grateful to have Kara in our class. Next we have Erin Campbell. Erin, whose honors project is the speech making of a girl orator, reason, gender, and authority in Dorothy Hunter's free trade oratory. Her first reader is Dr. Becky Hughes in the history department, and her second reader, as you can see, is Dr. Elizabeth Bagent from Oxford University. And it's probably important for you guys to know that Erin is an amazingly remarkable young woman. She is the senior leader of the entire honors program, the program assistant, and has been involved in honors leadership since she was a freshman. So she is uniquely poised. She's one of the students uniquely involved in the transition into the new program, the new curriculum. We even had a previous honors director when she was a freshman and stepped into the role of speaking up about honors leadership. Erin also won one of the writing prizes when she was at Oxford University in study abroad. And as you can tell, her work was so remarkable that Dr. Bagent, who's a very renowned historian at Oxford, has agreed to work with Erin on her honors project and is working with her, encouraging her to pursue academic publication. She uncovered an incredible archive that had never been published before and is kind of unique for a one-term study abroad to have entered into such profoundly important academic work. She's also a double major in ecology and a self-design major in comparative history of ideas. So a Bachelor of Science and a Bachelor of Arts. And we all know works harder than is humanly possible. I think more than anyone I might know in the whole entire world. And I love that she said that she hopes to maybe do strange things like go outside or go to a restaurant when she graduates, although even those things now have been blown up. But I know for sure that she is perhaps reconsidering graduate school earlier than her original plans might have thought about it. And I'm very encouraged to know that someone of her deep moral commitments, her profound intellect, and her dedication to ideas will be a kind of future academic leader. So I'm very grateful for Erin. She worked closely with me in leadership, and I'm so, so happy that hopefully her gifts will be finding the next steps, the next stage, even in this kind of world turned upside down. Yes, very grateful. And the next is yet another amazing university scholar and yet another Coloradan. So we are so happy to have Savannah here. Her honors project was using mental imagery to increase intention to seek psychological help. Her first reader, Dr. Brittany Townsend, second reader, Dr. Paul Kim. And Savannah finished her honors project. The rest of you might be sad to hear last quarter. So she's already been done for a while. I know a lot of you guys have been struggling to make that finish line this week. She definitely plans to pursue a doctorate in clinical psychology with the hopes of working in a hospital someday on social cognition. I worked closely with Savannah, even though it's outside of my particular field, because she was involved in the Northwest Honor Symposium. She presented her material with incredible impact and poise all the way back last fall. And I can say her readers have said this about her work was creative. She's self-motivated and persistent. Her research idea was novel, written with diligence and excellence. And the hope is that she will pursue academic publication. I believe that's actually in the works. Again, a rare accomplishment to have undergraduate level research work published in the academic field, the field full of PhDs. And so we're so proud that there's so many, at least 5 of the current university scholar class who are already pursuing academic peer-reviewed publication, which is a remarkable achievement. And Savannah is one of those, and we're very, very proud of her. Plus, she also gave us a nice hiking Colorado picture. So it's lovely to see. And next we have Ms. Hannah DeWitt. I was a second reader for her project, so feel, extra specially proud of her and I sharing the love of the 18th century writer Mary Wollstonecraft. So Hannah's title of her honors project is Renderings of the Self, the Inception of Autobiographical Writing in Robinson, Wollstonecraft, and Wordsworth. Dr. Trainer Hansen was her first reader, and I am her second reader, although all the credit goes to Dr. Hansen for working closely with Hannah in developing this project. And I'll say this, anyone who loves Mary Wollstonecraft is really probably one of the greatest people ever. And Hannah tells me that she's putting a picture of Mary Wollstonecraft on her mortarboard at graduation. That I'm very much looking forward to seeing. But more seriously, this is important literary scholarship around the history of ideas and around the way that women writing in particular sort of invokes the self in ways that are powerfully, ethically, and morally persuasive. And here is what Dr. Hansen has to say about Hannah's honors project. Quote, it's a testament to her scholarship and her dedication. Very admirable work. Certainly the basis for graduate school applications in the future, should she choose. I mostly love that she wrote, she just wants to be an English major out in the world. And I have to say, I think there's nothing more transformative than that. So, Hannah, we're so glad you're part of this year's graduating class. And next we have yet another one of our amazing STEM students as well. Gotta love everybody, and a student leader. The amazing Ellie Fox, whose honors project, as you can see, is entitled Determining the Genetic Control of Neural Tube Malformation Through Genetic Interactions with IDGF3. And her first reader is Dr. Michelle Cassad, who is at SPU but has now gone across the lake to Northwest University. And her second reader is Dr. Wade Grabo, another important core honors faculty member. And I know that Ellie is really eager, and I'm eager too, for her to enter into a master's in physician's assistant program. Certainly the world's been turned upside down, as we know, but she had been planning, and I hope will continue to pursue healthcare experience while she applies for those physician assistant programs, which are very competitive and elite. And I know that Ellie will be an amazing physician's assistant PA down the road. Right now, her readers say that her work is successful at the very highest levels, and her hard work, perseverance, and diligence is responsible for the success of her honors project. So happy about Ellie. And now we come to the amazing Annika Hawkinson, whose honors project is entitled Making Room for One's Own Literal and Literary Female Space in the Works of Virginia Woolf. Her first reader is Dr. Jennifer Meyer, and her second reader is Dr. Trainer Hansen. And I know that I'm always really happy when we have an amazing English major. Once again, as a youth scholar, we don't always have a lot of English majors. But one thing that I think is important to note about Annika is how, to me, what I love is her combination of calm and curiosity. She has a kind of persistence and grace about the hard work required of being a scholar, and such an amazingly wide range of talents and interests. And by the way, I certainly hope she is celebrating at her family's lake house in Wisconsin. I hope you all are celebrating there. But she's also really gifted in French language, and originally had plans to actually move to France and teach English this coming fall. So I'm not sure what's up with that. I suspect that might be on hold, but I'm hopeful and optimistic, especially with the kind of giftedness that Annika has, that she'll be able to go into living in France and entering into French culture with her gifts of literary interpretation and the kind of diligence of being an amazing youth scholar. And our next graduate is Matt Huff, whose honors project is Churches as Economic Development Tools in Rural America, a case study. First reader, Dr. Jerry Mason in economics, and second reader, Dr. Randy Beavers. And I love the photo because one thing that's so distinctive about Matt is his real dedication to rural communities. We also don't have a lot of economics majors always in the University Scholar Program. And the idea of the intersection of faith and economics that is so important to Matt's work is really significant and really needed. I think the world today is telling us even more and more and more than we have thought. Now, I personally love that he has a goal to enter the front office of a professional baseball organization too, because I'm a big baseball fan myself. But mostly, I think his idea of taking a break from academe, but in the future being able to take a kind of academic credential like a PhD and enter into ways to grow opportunity and development from a faithful kingdom perspective in rural America is a wonderful goal, and the kind of thing we want our university scholars to go out into the world in all the ways you're hearing about, bringing their training, bringing their education, their gifts for the purposes in the world that we hope they're being equipped for. We know they are, and we're so grateful for. And so, moving on in our class, we have the delightful Holly Lackey. Love that photo. I know Holly well. I'm so grateful. Another English major, but also a student that I was able to study abroad in Scotland and Ireland and Northern Ireland, and nothing like the closeness of actually sharing a study abroad experience. So it's been my privilege and pleasure to know Holly well as she, in the part of me that's an English professor, to watch her grow into her amazing intellectual gifts. I think all you scholars have that experience, and I know that all my colleagues across the SPU faculty cherish the opportunity to work with SPU honor students for just that reason, that this amazing giftedness, this amazing potential comes amongst us, and it's our pleasure, our real delight in helping to nurture the gifts of the mind that God has given all these wonderful students so that they can find their place in the world. So for Holly, it's been very fun. La Llorona's invitation, her honors project, is to connect feminist literature and the community of the monstrous. And my colleague, Dr. Trainer Hansen, who you can tell is a wonderful mentor to many honors students, is the first reader. And the second reader is also a beloved colleague, Dr. Elena Bailey, who is in Minnesota now, but was also a cherished member of our English department. And I know that Holly's profound intellect has intersected with her commitment to justice and peace in ways that have been delightful to unfold. So wonderful to see her excitement about ideas, her interest in theory, and the way theory is a kind of deep wisdom around what is truth and what is right and what is knowledge and what is good, and her interest in finding her way, maybe tiptoeing toward the idea of an academic vocation. And so it's a delight to know that yet another one of the amazing SBU Youth Scholar women is interested in going into growing knowledge, growing truth, growing goodness in the world of academia. Yes, and our next youth scholar is another amazingly gifted STEM student, Hannah Lichty. And as you can see, her honors project is entitled Doctor-Patient Relationships in Latin America and the U.S., Comparisons for Cross-Cultural Medicine. Her first reader is Dr. Kevin Newhauser, her second reader, Dr. Joshua Tom, both in the sociology department, even though Hannah is a pre-med, a scientist with a goal of medical training in the future. So what I love about Hannah is her extensive international and cross-cultural life experience and her real sincere dedication to being a physician in that space, in the space of international cross-cultural ministry, but also the use of the gifts, kind of like Dr. Paul Farmer in Mountains Beyond Mountains, which is a book that we do read in one of the honors classes, that using the gift of the mind, but also medical training is the scholarship, not just of ideas, but of application. And it's been so wonderful to see Hannah pursue as a research project the sociological aspects of that particular vocational call, not necessarily just the scientific. So we look forward to another amazing, impactful future gifted scholar from SPU out in the world. Hopefully next year, medical school, fingers crossed. Again, the world is crazy, and it's difficult to get in medical school, but we know that the kind of gifts that Hannah has and all of the students in this cohort who are applying to graduate school or medical school or law school will, in the end, find their way forward. And our next graduate is Michaela Logue. And Michaela is technically, not a junior, but a third-year student. So I want to call out, before I say anything else, the kind of hard work and dedication that Michaela demonstrated when she came to me as a first quarter freshman and said, Dr. Cheney, I need to do this in 3 years. And didn't come in with a bunch of transfer credits and just needed to be very careful, very hardworking, very sort of intentional about her time at SPU. And she accomplished that in ways I don't know that I've ever seen in my time at SPU. Her honors project is entitled Technology and Effects on the Meaningfulness of Interpersonal Relationships. Her first reader is Dr. Tom Carpenter, and her second reader, Dr. Brittany Towson. I know her readers have said, I will quote, she achieved a level of rigor, depth, and clarity already at the level of a first-year graduate student. We know that Michaela is someone who is deeply interested in the ways that technology, social media, especially in today's world, is clearly impacting human relationships, but she brings that interest into a calling to be a high school teacher. So not the idea of just scholarly research, but the way that we know high school teachers can have such powerful impact in the real lives of young people. And so she does intend to work in ministry at her church. She's home in Spokane, I believe, right now, and does also work at a nonprofit entitled the Jonah Project. So she'll be headed for a master's degree in teaching and psychology, and I know will be a high school teacher, a future high school teacher, a profound impact. So we're grateful for Michaela and really applaud her hard work to be done with the whole program and her major and her honors project in just 3 years. Our next amazing, incredible, wonderful honors graduate is Meg Lunn, whose honors project, her scholarship, her work in general has been astoundingly remarkable from the time she was a sophomore and hired by the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center, a world-renowned research lab, to work in a lab while she was only a sophomore. And so I know that as a scientist and a researcher, Meg is astounding. And I know from my STEM colleagues that they comment regularly on the incredible gifts that Meg brings into the world of science. Her honors project is entitled The Kinetic Signatures of Antibody Binding to M. genitalium adhesing Protein Fragments. I always say it like I know it, but I don't know. I know that's an important thing. Her first reader is Dr. Ben McFarland in biochemistry, her second reader, Dr. Johnny Tenlin. And her extensive research experience and achievement, as I mentioned, already incredibly remarkable. She will continue, as I understand, to work in the immunotherapy lab here in Seattle, although, again, I'm hoping that the coronavirus hasn't disrupted those plans. She certainly does plan to apply for graduate school and get her PhD, as I think all her mentors are profoundly encouraging her to do. And it's so moving and poignant and so incredibly amazing that she hopes to lead a team in targeted cancer research in honor of her late mother's memory. So I know that's a deep heart wound, but out of the pain of losing her mother, I love, and I think we all applaud the sort of desire to enter into that space with her own gifts and the things she can bring the world, hopefully healing, to honor her late mother. And so Meg is another one of those amazing youth scholars for whom the world awaits. And we're so, so grateful to have had her in the class of 2020. And so next, another amazing youth scholar. They're basically all amazing, but I have to say it every time because they're all amazing. So, of course. Alexa Nava, of course, a native of Hawaii. And I love that we got to see Hawaii. That's such an amazing picture. Beautiful. I long to be there. But Alexa, we're so, so grateful for you. And her honors project's entitled Maternity Leave and the Working Woman Identity, a theoretical analysis on United States maternity leave policy and economic freedom. Her first reader is Dr. Jerry Mason, and second reader, Dr. Richard Dadzier. And Alexa is, I want to say, a very important student leader of color in the youth Scholar program, especially to the younger students and the younger cohorts. She has had to bear the hard work of being one of the only students of color in her cohort and in the upper classes. Our newer cohorts are remarkably diverse in ways that we are thanking God for, reflecting the kingdom and the ways that SPU is growing in its inclusiveness, its intellectual hospitality. But it hasn't always been easy for the more senior students of color. And Alexa has been a powerful voice of strength and courage in spaces that have been difficult. I will be very honest. And so I love that she has persisted, that Dr. Mason has been an important role model. Alexa's also expecting her first academic publication this summer. She'll be heading to the University of San Francisco as well for her MS, her Master of Science in International Development Economics. She is going to be a woman professor of economics soon, to be the kind of role model Dr. Mason was, and I look forward greatly to that time. I hope you'll come back and be that at SPU, maybe, Alexa. But most of all, thank you so much for the gifts of your strength, your courage, your leadership. It's been a blessing to all that you have persisted in youth scholars, and I'm very grateful for that. And our next amazing youth scholar, yet another amazing youth scholar, is the amazing Anna Roscoe. Her honors project is entitled Curses, Healing, and Devotion, Roman Britain Through Its Spiritual Legacy. Her first reader, Dr. Owen Ewald, in classics. Her second reader, Dr. Rebecca Hughes, in history. And I know that Anna has been an amazing leader in the history department. She's one of the student leaders as the history department has kind of gained new energy and strength, new faculty, and a whole kind of important presence in new ways in our whole campus. And Anna's one of the leaders. I love that she wants to just study really ancient things and maybe have that intersect with museums down the road. I think we'll see Anna running, the Bodleian Museum or maybe the British Museum or something someday. But certainly I want to commend Anna's perseverance, her strength, her courage in the face of the challenges she's had to deal with in the time she's been at SPU and in Youth Scholars. She inspires me with the way she doesn't give up, and she keeps pushing and working and hanging in, like I said, during times of challenge. And her work, the kind of person, the kind of leader, the kind of scholar she's become is a huge blessing to this particular cohort, to me, and to all of us. I'm really super grateful for Anna and who she is and what she represents. Next, Sam Scott, another amazing youth scholar. Of course, I told you, they're all amazing. Sam, his honors project is Trading Away Church, a philosophical and analytical study of trade liberalization and religious congregations in America. His first reader is Dr. Caleb Henry, and second reader, Dr. Leland Saunders. I know that. His office is down the hall from mine. I like to commend Sam because Sam is my poster child for someone, it seems to me, as an outside person, but we've talked about it, that study abroad was a particularly transformative experience. He went to Oxford with the SKIO program and came back a changed person in ways that he's spoken of in our youth scholar group really powerfully, really movingly. Not just growing his mind and his intellectual gifts, although clearly that happened there too, but his soul and spirit as well. There was a huge religious component to maybe his experience of being in England. And I love the way he's been able to come back and bring a really shifted perspective about the world, about what it means to be a person of faith in academia and in politics and in public policy. I look forward to a future where Sam, maybe JD, maybe PhD, he's certainly going for a summer-long fellowship to Pennsylvania this year with the John Jay Institute. And I look forward to someone like Sam being in our future public spaces, remembering the kind of capacious gifts of love and welcome and intellectual hospitality that the world of his intellectual interests and spiritual interests intersect in. The world will be ready for Sam when he's out in the world making things happen. The next one is our amazing Brianna Warner. And, she's someone who I also absolutely marvel at. First off, and you scholars are not going to want to hear this, but she finished her honors project last December. She's so incredibly focused and organized and diligent that she's, one of those people. Now, she had student teaching she had to do, but she never faltered in her ability to keep things on time, on tasks, in way that were just completely remarkable. Her honors project, as you can see, is titled Where's the Rigor? A Study of Direct Instruction versus Inquiry-Based Learning in Math Education. I don't know if there's anything more important than the reform in math education in America today. And I'm so happy that Brianna will be in that space. Her first reader is Dr. Geraldine Lepak, and her second reader, Dr. Naileen Balaram. And here's what her readers have to say about her work. What an important and timely topic. Math education, written by Brianna in such innovative and sophisticated ways, it's hard to believe that she's not already an experienced classroom teacher. Her analysis was so careful and so thorough and so important that her readers both encourage her to also pursue academic publication. So you can read in the program, but she's already qualified to teach math, physics, chemistry, and English at the secondary level. And her goal is to be a kind of life-changing teacher that our youth need like none other. I love that she said, may her students leave knowing they are someone worth believing in. My heart, if all teachers could be like Brianna, then the world would be a better place, our country would be a better place. So I'm so thrilled that someone of Brianna's academic gifts is also entering into high school instruction, encountering youth where they're needed and where real transformative change can happen. So grateful for Brianna. And getting to the end, Rachel Weiss, another one of our sort of amazing theology students. I think she's been a cohort of one in this particular class, but what incredible gifts. And I love, again, the photo that really intersects with her project and her interests. Her honors project title is Following the Guide, A Theology of Wilderness Youth Ministry. Her first reader is Dr. Laura Holmes in the theology department, and I am her second reader. And I have so enjoyed understanding and really marveling at the richness and depth of Rachel's honors project, where she is interrogating the idea of wilderness in Scripture as a scholar of real depth, and according to Dr. Holmes, really exciting ways that professional scholars have barely even scratched the surface of. At the same time, she's also talking in this work about the practice of wilderness ministry, especially for at-risk youth. So her honors project, like many others, is already almost a book. It's certainly graduate work on both scriptural theology and also ministry, coming out of her experience and her interests, the wilderness. I love that, like several other youth scholars, she's developed a very close mentor-mentee relationship with Dr. Holmes. So many times that happens, that honors project readers become real role models, and there's a kind of apprentice scholar relationship that emerges. Not always, and that's okay too, but in several cases, I think particularly in this class, there has been some real strong connections with honors project readers, faculty readers, which I find deeply important and a deeply important part of this process. Finally, the also amazing Valerie Westerman, another English major, but in this case, a gifted creative writer, a gifted novelist. Her honors project is Strong Female Characters, an analysis of 6 female fantasy characters from novel to film. Her first reader, Professor Jeffrey Overstreet, and her second reader, Dr. April Middleyons. And I'll just tell you this. Here are quotes from her readers to give you an idea of the remarkable work that Valerie has accomplished. This is extraordinary, ambitious, and exceptional work. I believe that any reader who discovers her honors project in years to come will be challenged to think deeply about female protagonists in literature, from fiction to film alike. Truly remarkable. At the same time, she is an accomplished novelist. There is an excellent novel in progress, according to her readers, and her lifelong dream of publication seems assured. And so we have yet another woman like Abby that we began this amazing cohort with, a gifted creative writer as well as a gifted scholar, and someone whose interpretation of film lends real rigor and depth of novel and film to her own work. And that right brain and left brain together is a unique gift. And I'm so excited about the future that Valerie will have. Also, she's in an amazing house. She's hunkered down in the quarantine, I believe somewhere near the beach. And I'm already jealous of that too. So incredibly grateful for this class. And all I can say finally, as I mentioned earlier, perhaps no other class in Youth Scholar history loves speech and play quite so much. And so our senior leader, Erin Campbell, shared one of the crucial moments in Pizza and Play. There's Ellie front and center. Those seniors, they are going to win, right? So thank you so much, friends. This is your class of 2020, the University Scholars at Seattle Pacific University. We're so grateful for all of you, and we are so proud of all that you have accomplished. Thanks, dear friends, for all your time and attention to the incredible University Scholars at SPU. We've now come to the final part of our little ceremony, and that is the award winners. And we will also end with a little commissioning prayer that I hope you'll all join with me in from the program wherever you are. But first, and I think really importantly, let's honor 2 of our students in the University Scholars this year who embody the very best of all of us. The first is a rising senior, as we call it, someone who's in the junior class who will be a senior next year. And this award, the Erin Kimenow Award, I will actually read a statement about. It's difficult for me to talk about, so I find it easier to read. But it's the students in the junior class themselves who pick this award winner. So it was the cohort, the rising senior cohort, was asked to consider someone with the servant's heart and the gift of caring and hospitality in the context of justice and kingdom work and love that is embodied by the former youth scholar, Erin Kimenow. So this award winner was chosen by the students themselves. The Erin Kimenow Servanthood Scholarship Award for 2020. As some of you may know, Erin Kimenow was a junior university scholar who lost her life tragically in a car accident in November of 2016. I knew her personally very well. She was my advisee in the English department and in University Scholars and took many of my classes. I hired her to be one of the very first writing tutors and had many conversations with her over the years that I knew her. And I can honestly say I have rarely known a college student like her. She was tough and witty and smart and afire with passion to battle injustice, to seek God's kingdom in championing the poor, the oppressed, and those in need. At the same time, though, and unusually, with a gift of bringing people together and building bridges of hospitality and grace. She was very famous for her food, her soup, her bread. She was always feeding people while she worked hard on them with difficult ideas and conversations, always done with love and grace. She truly saw every one of these acts of love and service and justice as scholarship too, a kind of embodiment of the ideas and philosophies that we were studying in class. She could get impatient with books and ideas in class. She wanted to live in the world and be the ideas and change and justice she believed in. She just didn't want to read about it. After her death, her family founded the Erin Kimenow Servanthood Scholarship Award, quote, to honor and perpetuate Erin's passion for seeking justice, her gifts for bringing diverse people to the table, literally, and her desire to motivate others to use their gifts to foster human dignity and flourishing. This award is made annually to the rising senior and is endowed with a generous scholarship from the Kimenow family, supporting the honors student in the rising senior class whose excellence models servanthood as a form of scholarship in his or her career thus far. This year's recipient of the Erin Kimenow Award wonderfully embodies all of those qualities and is a very worthy and honorable reflection of its values. This class, the Rising Senior class, is pretty amazing. There are a lot of strong candidates, full of big-hearted, hospitable, kingdom-driven leadership and strength. I love the way this class responded to the important work of choosing their honoree and how much they all affirmed each other. There were a lot of nominees, a kind of consensus finalists, but it was very sweet to see every one of them nominating each other in some ways. But as the votes came in, a very clear winner emerged very quickly. And I will say this about this year's, quoting the students about this year's Kimenow winner, quote, she is passionate about justice and determined to find creative approaches to the many forms and layers of inequality we see in our world. At the same time, she's a terrific friend, a terrific human, full of energy, humor, and positivity. She can have difficult conversations, but makes everyone feel heard and welcome. Another student wrote, I know I'm not the only one who has been made to feel better simply by her presence, her warmth, her love, her dedication, her belief in truth. So it's perhaps not a surprise, but this year's winner of the Erin Kimenow Award, I always wanted to be on the Academy Awards, and the envelope, please. The Kimenow Award winner for 2020 is Alex Moore. I gotta get it on camera. Alex Moore. Alex, congratulations. You are a very worthy winner. And now we'll move on to the final award, the final big event of our afternoon together, our ceremony, something that is always a privilege and an honor. And that is the Wesley Lindgren Award for the Most Outstanding University Scholar for 2020. I will also read. I have a nice speech here. The Wesley E. Lindgren Award has been established by Seattle Pacific University in recognition of Dr. Lindgren's 25 years of distinguished service, not just as Director of University Scholars, but also as its founder and creator in 1970. See, I told you, 50 years. This is a golden anniversary. This award is given annually to the one graduating university scholar who, quote, best exemplifies the academic excellence and high standard of service associated with our program. We'll get to this year's winner in just a moment. But before we do, as you know, I want to take time on behalf of the entire University Scholar faculty, indeed the whole SBU faculty, and let you all know that you're incredibly amazing, gifted, remarkable students. We're blessed to know you and blessed to have had you as our students. To be a university scholar at SPU is to achieve something really remarkable, something that can never be taken away from you, the truly lifelong gift of an honors liberal arts education. Each of you has worked harder than you ever thought, read more than you thought possible, wrote more than you ever wanted to, learned to ask difficult questions, and also to dig deep for answers and truth. And now, on to this year's Lindgren Award winner. You know, it's always difficult for the honors faculty every year when we have to choose one. We have to choose one most outstanding university scholar for the reasons noted above. You are all truly remarkable, high-achieving, accomplished. I wish your faces and selves were all right here in front of me. I would look at all of you and know every one of you is so amazing. If only we could give 20 Lindgren Awards. It was very, very difficult. In fact, I can share, as I mentioned earlier, that a very high percentage of your class was nominated for the President's Citation, the highest award in the whole university. So it makes our job extra hard, those of us in the University Scholar faculty, choosing just one of you. But you should also know that it isn't just GPA, and that's another thing we faculty debated as we were making this decision. The criteria, I'll go on and read, the criteria for this award is more than just you got the highest GPA or have the most impressive academic achievements. Remember what the Lindgren Award said. It's more than that. It's the holistic sense of the single student who embodies all of those things, who brings all of the pieces holistically together in truly uniquely remarkable ways. And that ended up helping us make our decision in the end. As with the Kimenow Award, there were a number of strong candidates, but the winner was a clear consensus among the faculty. This, and by the way, I will keep reading. The Lindgren Award was uniquely designed to honor the youth scholar who most deeply reflects the balance between academics and faith, between learning and serving. This award for the senior honor student is most rooted in the whole of the liberal arts. Someone who embraces the challenges and questions that come from this deep dive into reading and thinking and critically examining and interpreting and then asking more questions, and not just narrow specialization in a particular major or discipline or high grades associated with any of that. Rather, this winner and this award is always someone whose lived commitment to the good, to ethics, to serving, walking humbly, living into what it means to be a kind of scholar servant at the highest levels, a commitment to service and leadership and love even throughout their whole time here at SPU. Someone who brings along with that the highest academic achievement as well. That achievement along with the heart of a servant. The joy of learning in academic community while also committed to serving the world, all the people of the world with that giftedness. So, with my acknowledgement to each and every one of you for your hard work, dedication to yourselves, your families, your gifts, to SPU's honors program, to your own work, to one another. One of you has stood out as the Wesley E. Lindgren Award winner for 2020. And I will read a few quotes that came from the faculty as we debated this decision. Quote, "Here is someone who I can truly say is amongst the top students I've ever had in my career." And that's 13 years at SPU. Literally a dream of a student and an equally terrific human being. This is someone who's truly remarkable, uniquely remarkable academic gifts occur in the fact that her giftedness is equally outstanding in the sciences and the humanities. That rarely, if ever, happens. This student also has been committed to serving in leadership, the university scholar community, from her first year at SPU. But lots of leaders are, outgoing folks like me, or people who just, they just seem like a leader. What I love about this particular student is that she goes against the stereotypes of the kind of strength and courage that leadership requires. She's quite a quiet, soft-spoken, even self-effacing woman, but she's never shied away from the roles and responsibilities of leadership in everything she's encountered. She has a kind of unbelievable diligence and hard work that she hardly ever even speaks of, yet speaks volumes by all that she's accomplished, all she kind of quietly does. I think most of us think she hasn't slept in 4 years, maybe. But at the same time, she's achieved literally international success in academia. She has a curiosity about everything, a deep drive to learn and know. I would say one of the most remarkable students I've ever known in my career at SPU or anywhere else. So it is my privilege right now, the envelope please. The Lindgren Award winner for 2020 as the most outstanding university scholar is Erin Campbell. Congratulations, Erin. I'm super, super proud of you. And all of you. And families. Finally, before we get to the end of the ceremony and we pray together, here's my word to all of you parents, all you friends, siblings, aunts and uncles, spouses, girlfriends, boyfriends, everyone who's come alongside these students to get them to this important life achievement. Especially you parents. I'm a parent of college graduates. I know what it takes. I know the sacrifices you've made, and I know all the hardships that everyone who's come around these youth scholars has made to make sure they got to this moment. Please know we see you and we know, and we're so grateful for you and for the foundation and the giftedness that you have been to each of them to get them to this point, but also to entrust them into our care for these past 4 years. We don't take that lightly. That's a sacred responsibility that each of us faculty members takes very, very seriously. So we thank you for that. We thank you for the support you've been. And we pray that all of you go forward with God's love and grace and his mercy, especially in these days. So will you all join me in a commissioning prayer? Maybe lay hands on each other if that's your tradition. But certainly this is a prayer we want to pray over each of you as you go, as you leave us, with the prayer and hope you will always stay in touch. You will always send me emails about where you are and what you're doing. If you ever end up financially supporting SBU, remember you can support university scholars directly through the Lindgren Fund. So if you want to support, we hope to grow scholarships for you scholars in the future. Just putting that out there. But most of all, keep in touch. Let us know how the road ahead looks. We'd love to keep in touch with our alums. And we hope in the future to actually connect you, future alums, to the current and future youth scholars too. So please join me in prayer, friends. God, you have called us together into being through love. You have joined us to one another in love. How good and pleasant it is when your people dwell together in unity. Today we ask that you grant each of these university scholars the strength to carry your blessing from this place to their next. May they be at home in any land, for all the earth is yours. May the lamp of your word guide their feet in all the paths of life. Grant each of these students a deep fullness of being and spirit as they go from here. Grant them your fullness in glory and joy, now bearing new shape, Lord, transformed in your likeness. Lord, we pray you make it clear to them each road on their journey. Make safe to them each step. And should they stumble, may you hold them close. If they fall, lift them up. When they are hard pressed with evil, deliver them, we pray, and bring them at last to your glory. Bless the work of their hands. Finally, shine your light upon all these your people today, precious Lord, that we can see the glory of your eternal life in all our comings and goings. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. Be blessed, friends. Congratulations. We're really, really proud of you.